This is part 2 of the Dungeon Defender's Guide, and what this part's going to be explaining is just completing the campaign. And so we'll just go to stage 2 and kind of give an example of what happens once you unlock your barricades and how you should be playing. And then after that, we'll just come back for the Wyvern Den, the final stage of the campaign. So after stage 2, just kind of go through and finish the game with what you know and learn along the way. With just those basic information, you should be able to clear the campaign. And just kind of get a feel for the layouts here. And you'll see on the map the 3 purple eyeballs on the mini-map of where enemies will spawn. And if you walk up to them and hit L3, you can see what's actually coming out of them. So it's a good way to determine, like, if a lane needs particular attention. And this is also the first introduction of side objectives to defend. They'll have a silver shield rather than a gold one. And if you lose the silver shield, it won't end the match. But I think in this example, it'll actually open this, which is blocked, and that'll become a way for enemies to come out of. So we're gonna defend this to make it easier to not have enemies coming out of there. So we're gonna build in front of it to keep it safe. Since we don't have blockades, I'm going to build extra towers to compensate to deal as much damage as possible, since we don't have any way to stall the enemies on barricades. And these lanes are just straightforward, they come straight out, there's nothing to defend. So we'll build right here, and right here. So they're both easy to maintain and protect, because they're close together, all the towers are located nearby. And I'm going to build a few extra. I would normally only build 3 or 4. The middle lane's a little heavier than the right lane, so I compensated by adding extra towers there instead of there. And then we'll go ahead and start the round. And just kind of help your towers out by running up and, you know, using your hero. And if you let the enemies get in range and then kind of use your hero to stall them, that way they won't get close to your towers, but your towers will still be shooting them for maximum damage opportunity. And now that I've hit level 5, I can build my barricades. So I'm just gonna put them down and give an example of how they work. And they have 6,000 health compared to your cannonball tower's 2,000 health. And now each lane is protected by the barricades. So we're gonna go ahead and start upgrading our towers as well. And let's put a few there. I'm gonna do a few over here. And from this point, this should be all the information you would need to complete the campaign up to the Wyverns down. So just take this information, you know, barricades protecting towers behind them. And you can see now the goblins can't attack the towers, they gotta go through the barricades first. And this should really be all you need to know until flying enemies come in. And flying enemies, they can fly over the barricades, but there really shouldn't be a problem. Just be aware of it. And I'll come back around level 15 or so is probably what you'll be at for the Wyverns down, so I'll come back at that and finish for level 19 with Turd. And just have some basic gear from Forest Crossroads, all level 16 stuff. And I went ahead and applied some stat points. Just something similar to this would work fine. Many of these stats cap out around 15, which is weird, but like the gains go down significantly. Like defense power after level 15 only increases like 1 or 2 per stat point. So right now, especially when stat points are you know, hard to come by because we're such a low level, we're gonna be a little more frugal with them, and because you can reset stat points at any time for $1,500 or gold. That's not a big deal at all. So you can assign them how you want now, then change them at any time in the future. And we don't really have any spheres equipped because it doesn't matter too much at this point. If you acquired some from the Grandmaster in the quest, go ahead and put them on. I'll put on a defense power sphere plus 10, and that's about it. And now we're gonna go ahead and start campaign normal, the Wyvern Den. This is essentially the final boss of the campaign. You should have been able to clear the rest of it fairly easily. And I'll go ahead and explain the map and kind of where I like to build, and then I'll just check in between waves, and I'll show the entire final wave with Betsy. As you can see, these two waves come to a head right here, so you can kind of build that to your favor. But I find that with waves that kind of curve like this, it's hard to really get a shot at them, so they just kind of come up on your barricade where your defenses can't hit them, and especially the ranged ones will quickly destroy your stuff. So even though these two could be defended at the same time, I'm going to defend them separately. And then there's 3 different eggs. All 3 of these have to be protected. If one of them gets destroyed, you're done. In this lane, I'm just gonna put... And I'll put 2 just in case someone kind of slips by. Because I want to not have to deal with killing stuff that are on these eggs. And these 2 come together, and if you're gonna defend them at the same time, I'd recommend moving back a little bit, so you can make them come into line of sight. Like, a lot of people defend right here, but then you're gonna have that same problem where your towers back there aren't gonna have the line of sight to hit these lanes. So I'm gonna move it back here. You can take an extra blockade, but that's fine. It might not even need that, but I'm gonna do it to be safe. Now we're gonna start our towers. And you may or may not have ballistas by now. You probably should, though. So we're gonna use some ballistas. Because they're very long range, they hit multiple targets. And I prefer them to the cannonball towers. And I'll check the cannonball tower has higher damage per second, but I think it only hits one target. And is much shorter ranged. But it is cheaper, so you can make that determination on preference. And the middle lane here, on wave 5, Betsy will come in and knock stuff down that actually blocks these 2 waves, which creates a ramp up to the nest where she's at. So you don't want to put too much money into this lane. If you can do anything, like, if anything, put more money into the side lanes and then spend your time with your hero here, kind of supplementing your lack of defenses. Because on wave 4, you're going to end up selling all this for whatever gems you can scrounge up, because they're not going to do anything at that point. There's no more lane there. I'll just drop some upgrades. Actually, I'll add an extra tower over on these sides. And whether you used ballistas or cannonballs, it should be a layout similar to this, and it should be fine. Just don't forget to check, you know, what waves what lane's getting hit the hardest. And you may have to help it out here and there. And I'm gonna go ahead and start the wave, and I'll check back in during the check back after that wave. And you might have noticed Betsy opens up lanes for wyverns to come through, which are flying enemies, so that could have caused some issues, but if you were in the middle lane helping out your defenses, it should have come out fine. And now, just kind of check the gear, so there's anything you can upgrade between rounds, just so you're ready for anything. Like this one, it's a better sword, I'll go ahead and take it and I'll put it on. Because this, like the shield, I'll go ahead and take it. Because this map's actually a little more difficult than what the rest of the campaign is. And now I'm gonna start upgrading the barricades. This one seems okay. They haven't been touched, so I'll spend the money upgrading the defenses instead. And this map also gives a lot of gems. The enemies drop a lot of them. So you shouldn't be too strapped. You should be able to keep everything. So these barricades haven't really been hurt. And I took a lot of damage in the middle, so I'm gonna go ahead and we got a lot of gems, so I'll get these all to rank 2. But I'm probably not gonna go any farther than that. I just want them to be able to compensate for having to take out 2 lanes with about the same resources as my other lanes. I'm just gonna try and disperse the wealth evenly here on upgrades. Maybe spend a little extra on this lane because they do kind of have a shorter area to actually fight in. So I'll pay a little more attention there. And so this setup should get you through the next one. That's pretty much all you need. This is all the information you need. I'll check in back at round 5. I'm checking it again here on wave 3. Just to mention these purple spots, Betsy curses sections of the level, and you'll notice now that my towers have very low damage per second now. So that's just another thing to be aware of when she curses sections of the levels. Make sure you're aware of that and don't let your lanes get overrun. As you can see here, I sort of just readjusted all my defense locations. I just sold them and rebuilt because you're getting enough gems that it's not going to hurt you. Just get them out of the curse. It's too much of a damage loss. You're going to have to just avoid it. Okay, so you should have seen a cutscene. And Betsy broke down pieces of a ship that fell down here and made ramps up there. So now we're gonna get ready for this fight. And now this middle wave, or this middle lane is obsolete. We're gonna sell it off. I'm just gonna check, make sure she didn't curse this section of the level. Okay, so all our stuff's out of curse. Increases projectile tower range by 8%. I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up. Okay, so normally there would be like a 10-second timer, and then this would just start. But in the campaign version of this map, I don't know if it's intended or not, but it doesn't do that, so you have time to actually set this up. So go ahead and adjust your equipment one last time, get ready for this. And we're actually gonna come up here. This is where Betsy spawns, and where she spends a lot of her time. And we're just gonna start building towers. And Betsy will land there, and she'll probably destroy a lot of these towers, but I just want the damage output, even if it's gonna mean they're all destroyed. So Betsy will also, she'll like fly around and she'll attack the egg in the middle. So you only have so much time to kill her before she makes enough passes to destroy this egg. And then there will be enemies spawning the entire time on top of it. So you gotta make sure that these lanes are set up to handle anything that's gonna happen. Now I'm gonna use the last of my gems to upgrade some of these cannonball towers. I'm going to upgrade the ones that are further back, just because they're least likely to actually get hit and destroyed. And you can see they're all, the whole epicenter of all their ranges is right where Betsy's going to land. And now we're going to go ahead and start this, and hopefully we can kill her. Yeah, see, the spike towers are doing a ton of damage already. And the cannonball towers, I mean. And she's destroying a lot of them, but not enough of them. And you're just gonna want to go like full blown on her, even if he dies, not a big deal. See, and that's it. Yeah, see, she drops a legendary sword. That's pretty much your reward for winning on campaign. Okay, and that's campaign, and we'll come back in the next one and talk about actually hitting level 50 and what that entails and the fastest ways to do that.